So now we're live on Facebook. All right. Hello, everyone. Okay, so now let's see if we've moved everyone to. Hello, Anna. You were moved to live. We can't see your picture and we can't hear you either.
And how about now?
We can hear you now, yes, but we can't see you. So are you going to do audio only?
I've got no idea how to do it. I mean, how to change it.
Okay.
I'm thinking like, this is strange.
Yes, if you have a look down on the bottom, onto the left-hand corner, there should be a video. So if you click on that, you'll be able to see yourself. Well, you'll be able to turn on the video as well. No, you can't. Okay, try it. Just one sec. Let me try again. Let me try again.
Again,
yes.
Now I can see everything and I can work it out. Okay,
yes.
Because I must have. Hello. At the very beginning, I probably rejected that option, and I was like,
yes.
This looks strange.
Yes, you have to accept to come to a panelist, otherwise you're just watching. So welcome everybody. I think we're live on Facebook now. We tried to be live on YouTube, but it didn't work out. So welcome to the Jewels of Wisdom. It is a new monthly program. My name is Alexis Sersha, and I welcome each and every one of you who have the courage to come live. It's not easy to sort of, go public with the things that are going on, because there are a lot of the times that we want to be private. I know that, for a decade, I didn't even want to take a picture of myself. And especially when you go through all of the integration, you wake up in the morning, look like scarecrow, another day I wake up, lots of pimples, another day I wake up, all sorts of things. So it is, and then to start talking and speaking on behalf of your soul in this way, I congratulate you, because it is like a huge step. And I would like to give you the audience. So who would like to sort of, take the first step and speak and introduce yourself, and just perhaps, tell us, share with us what happened in the last few days, because the energies have been so intense, and we needed to really pick our surfboards from the garage and go surfing. Otherwise, we end up scuba diving. So that's what my experience was like that.
Okay, I'd start. Well, my name is Doris, and I'm living in Germany. I'm just being with myself. I don't work anymore. I have been working in my earlier lifetimes. I was running a gallery for contemporary art for more than 20 years. I was like librarian, and later on I started with selling some minerals and so on and so on. So I always did some different things. And now I'm here living on the Black Forest in southern Germany. And the last week were really, really transforming. I thought, am I on a roller coaster? What's going to happen? It was so beautiful, Alexis, when I was watching your video, being on Earth. It's so beautifully, and it gave me such a peace going inside, being present within me. But also lots of headache, like I was in a vice. And then afterwards, I had lots of perceptions. My potential showed up one day, and it was so beautiful. I was just flying in all my potentials, and it was in my inner landscape. It was not the mind. It was really coming from inside. I felt it. I sensed that all this potential, these creative potentials who want to be now, to work with me, to work for me, and this was so amazing, fulfilling, and I was just in joy and thankfulness and so on. The next day, like always pops, it just went down. And I've sensed so many times, if I would be on a theater and the kulisses are coming through or permanently moving through myself, some days I didn't know who I am anymore. And yeah, then, and also there's a lot of change in my body. I told you I did catch Omicron. I was so sure I won't get it, and but I got vaccinated last year, and my doctor told me, okay, because you got vaccinated, you got it. So the stuff started already at the beginning of the year. I was lying in bed at the end of May, but I must say, this time really being in bed with fever, I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink, I couldn't do nothing. I felt also, I had the same impression. There are movements passing through me, through my body, like the old body is just being pushed away and making space for the new body, for the new energy body, or the crystalline body. So yeah, the recent days I had this experiences again. I nearly couldn't eat, just being quiet, a little, some walks, but not too much, and just coming inside, and yeah, staying in presence with myself, and just being open for everything what's coming along the way, no matter what. Just being. That's what my soul required me. Just be here, stay open, no matter what. If you like it or not, no matter what, be open for the new. So yeah, that was my last week.
And you know, like you could have described a lot of what I've been experiencing as well. For me, the same. Be open, stay open, and also this moving into the new. It's like, it really is like you step into the new, and for me, it's like there's moments when I'm very much in the new. It's not like, okay, the old is transforming or changing, but you just really do step into something new, and there's no old in there. And then you come back into the old, and the old seems so old. Like you think, oh my gosh, this is like everything I look at, the more presence I feel, you know, the more soul self is imbued into this reality. Everything of old looks really, really old. And so I've had to kind of take up the next level of humor, you know, because through the eyes of the soul, some of the things that I have that are old and have been dear to me, through the eyes of the soul, they look so old. And I'm like, oh my God, this is ancient. I need something new, you know? And then it's like, dear soul, dear Michael, you don't pay bills here. You can't ask me to buy new things. Bring some money with you next time you imbue yourself. It's kind of like, you know, you have to really, I make it into this kind of humorous interaction, and a real, like my soul self is a real being, and I know that I am this soul self, but for me, it's such an enjoyment. You know, sometimes I feel myself as this, my own oneness. And then sometimes I feel myself separate, not separate in the old way, but I create all these parts of myself that interact, and so you're your own entertainment continually. So it is just a lot of fun, and I can then navigate these really intense times, or whatever happens, with humor, with company, with almost like having a party, you know, like, because we're all of me are in it together. So there is no limit to how, you know, I can organize my life, or I can organize my inner life. And this is the incredible freedom that I use all the time, every day, all the time. I use this incredible freedom that I've claimed for my inner world to be like I want it to be, like my heart wants it to be. There is nothing that I have to go out and read, or that someone has to say, well, if you're like this, then you are this, you're enlightened. If you're like, those things are completely meaningless now, you know. It's just this joy of being. So thank you, dear Doris. Thank you for sharing. It was beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you for providing the space here.
It's such a pleasure.
Yeah.
Okay, who's next? Oh, we've got a puppy. Anna, you have to unmute yourself. You have to look down to the bottom of your screen. Oh, there you are.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I know. It's just the room is busy now, and I'm trying to kick out my daughter from here. And she's like, "No, I'm not going." Shush. Just too many things in one go, and the dog on the other side, so it looks like not easy time. What is it? What is it?
They all want to participate.
Just give me a second. Oh dear. I'm free now. Oh God. Yes, so this is quite unexpected. I woke up, I jumped in on the Facebook, and here we are. I mean, I probably didn't think of what I'm doing, thinking that now I need to speak publicly, and it's live on the top of it. So, but here we are.
But you know,
so,
if you look at us, if you just look, it's just four of us, really. You know, it's just four of us talking.
This is how I'm trying to see it. I'm trying not to think, so it's okay. It's okay. I'm here now, and I do enjoy. And I'm the fan of. I'm your fan, big fan over the last months. You kept me alive on quite a few occasions. So.
Thank you, and
So
I see your
happy.
YouTube comments, and thank you for commenting.
Sometimes,
yes.
when I feel like yes, I'm able to make a comment, then I do it. So being here now and have to talk is like, oh my God, what am I doing? But yes, I'll try to enjoy. So for me, the journey started like 3 years ago. I mean, probably much earlier. But I was just searching, and then I've discovered Crimson Circle, and then you, Alexis, and a few other people, and here I am, just riding the wave. I've stopped working March last year. I couldn't do it anymore. I was like, F it, I can't. That's it. And I didn't really do anything since then. I'm looking after my cucumbers, my tomatoes. So this is how I spend my free time now. I've got 2 dogs, daughter, husband, but it's totally different life. Somehow the previous life doesn't exist anymore, and I wouldn't be able to do it. I think it's quite typical. I don't have a much choice. The decision's been made for me, or I've been pushed to make those decisions. And lately, I don't know, so much is happening lately. Like we've been decluttering our house over the last 2 weeks now. So I've been working extremely hard somehow, don't really have much time to think, and just things are happening. Or on the other hand, I would just do nothing all day long, watch birds flying by and to listen to the whisper of the wind on my garden. So that's my life now. I mean, there is the element of survival, because I'm thinking like, okay, I've got money for today and tomorrow. How about next month? How about holidays? But I do have that message in my head. It comes to you. So I'm trying not to think and breathe instead when those thoughts are coming. So that's me. Thank you.
You know, it's funny. I've seeded some cucumbers as well. So there you go. And
they're doing so. They so easy to grow. Sorry.
Yeah. No, go. You go. Yes.
Yeah. No. I was just jumping into the cucumbers. They're just so easy. You just plant them and off you go. And I'm eating them on the daily basis, like every day. Breakfast, dinner. But yes.
Yeah, yeah, these things, you know, that it takes some time to redo your life, and you do take, you know, that time away, and it does change. You can't go back. Once you wake up, in this way, you can't go back to the old life, because old life is full of life, is full of full of lies, full of pretending. You have to continually suppress yourself and pretend and pretend and pretend, so you never really know who you are. And other people who are participating in that life, they almost then afterwards feel like dead. For me, they feel like dead, because you never really can feel, I mean, you feel their real self, but the face, you know, the mask they put out, it is not their real self. So you know, going into nature for me was that really feeling that authentic being, which nature is. Nature always is itself, and then I could then be myself as well. So, and that simplicity where you can just sit anywhere and just watch the clouds go by, it's just amazing. And how enjoyable it is, you know, all of these things. And so then it comes into this financial matters, because somehow for me life has changed, so that things just in many ways come, that I don't need money in that way. So a lot of time is released, change the habits, change what I buy, because so much I don't need anymore, because I don't need to impress anybody. I don't need to pretend I'm somebody else. So there's so much, all this money that you need to just pretend, and all of that falls away. And so and then you keep coming back. I keep coming back to this now moment, and it's just this trust that somehow it all will work out. Initially, it takes a lot of courage to start living in this way, because also it feels like, oh, I'm some kind of a bum or something, you know, like I had to work through all of those kind of preconceived ideas of what it means to work, what it means to be lazy, you know, like in my culture, oh my gosh, the worst crime was to be lazy. That kind of, you know, those kind of things, like if someone called you that, you just die of shame. So and at the same time, you know, you become busy in such a different way, because your internal world is so busy, and you become very you continually end up working in this way, inside working, figuring out how to do this, figuring out how this works, figuring out, you know, like you said, all these all of a sudden you become aware of these new potentials. Then you have to work out, well, how do I avail myself of these potentials? How do I make them real? You see, so it has to, so you become so incredibly busy, but you're not busy in the way of the old world, of the old life, but internally you're constantly working out, well, so here are my potentials, great, but how do I make them real? You know, like how do I even pick one? So all of these things, and because this is like training really in mastery, allowing that master self to emerge, but it just means that each one of us have to work out, because no one else can do it for us, because it's all the internal job, inner job, inside job. So we have to ourselves work out, okay, so this is how I perceive new potentials, this is how, well, this is what I have to do internally to get to the new potentials, this is what happens. Then when I see the new potential, this is how I make it real. How do I make it real? If I do this, oh, this doesn't work, you flop, you try again, you see, because we are becoming familiar with the inner world of our own self and how we work on the inside. How does clarity work? How does the intent work? How does focus work? How do we understand the soul self? How do we be in the I am? There is just such an incredible amount of work that we do on the inner level, so that watching the clouds go by or listening to birds, it's really not just that, you know, like we are in this beautiful space, but we are just working out how to become this effortless, graceful, be a master in here. And then we still have all these physical needs, you know, like the body needs, the family, the children, the partners, the all sorts of things. So we are incredibly busy, but we also have access to this inner well of well-being that I say inner well of well-being is just this constant bubbling up of energy. So for example, if I compare my life to even 20 years ago, you know, like I'm much busier, sleep less, and yet I have this constant energy just constantly bubbling up, so I can do that and that and that and that. And so when I look at my day, it feels like I'm not doing anything, but if I write it down, it's like, wow, look how many things I've actually, you know, done within my day. But because somehow the time also changes, so it stretches in some ways, and so that you can then do like more at what I thought was possible, not even trying, but it just kind of automatically, as I allow more and more presence and more soul, all of these changes on all levels keep changing, like the day keeps changing on all levels, from all perspectives, and some so unexpected that, and some so beautiful, and some also challenging, you know, to when you're dealing with the world, when you're dealing with the body, with the jobs, with all of these kind of things. So it becomes like a big adventure. That's how I look at it. It's just an adventure, working out how to, you know, in a graceful way.
I absolutely agree. I mean, everything is new, but the things which are happening, I mean, sometimes I'm really mesmerized. It's just so amazing. There are times where I'm quite close to quit, just say, okay, I'm done, that's it, no more. But today is not one of those times. So yes, especially when the integrations are happening. Oh my God, I didn't know. I didn't know, and I do have it. I mean, I laugh to myself that if I'd know, I would never jump in. But and somehow I've got the feeling it's not the worst. It's not over yet. There will be much more funny integrations to come and deal with. So we shall see how it goes. On the top of that, I just want to add that I'm from Poland, but I live in UK. Like 10, 15 years maybe. And yes, and I don't really have a much of access to the nature, because I'm kind of in the center of the city, and I would have to travel like 1 hour or 2 hours, go through the traffic. But even if I was to do it, the UK is kind of very compact. So even if I go outside, I'm not really on my own. So I've tried on a few occasions some time ago, a few months ago, and I gave up on it. It just doesn't really make any difference where I go. There are people all around me. So I had to reorganize the world around me to make it user friendly, to have my own plants and all my own nature around me, and just enjoy as much as I can. Thank you. That's my sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And with the nature, you know, like you said, the majority of people live in a very populated area. That's just how the world is. And I think like now it's kind of a little bit easier to do it within that space, because there are so many of us, you know, that have kind of more integrated. And so there are like, okay, you can look at someone and say, okay, look, they're doing it in this way. But when I was there was nobody really, hardly anyone. So the only place that I found really was nature that I could sort of compare. So things change. And also the soul, you know exactly your life. And so within your life, it is what, you know, you've set up your life the way you've set it up. And within that, you're absolutely able and capable, and the conditions are right. It doesn't need any moving. And then if you didn't need to move, it would just happen, you know, because like there is a time when the world opens up in a big way, a day comes when the bubble pops and you realize, wow, let's say last decade, I was so protected. My soul self protected me so much. I didn't realize. You only realize when that bubble breaks, and then because you're ready to then be on a different level, a master on a different level. But when you are experiencing what you're describing, you are very, very much protected. And so all of these life conditions are perfect for you. And so there's nothing you have to worry, and just make what like you're doing. You're absolutely like, you're extremely wise. You are doing everything that you need to do, and then you just give it time to integrate. Like you also know, and you know, and you feel that yes, more is still to come. But every time that more comes, you are so much wiser, and you are 100% again ready to deal with whatever comes. And this is the most amazing thing when you live a soul-filled life, is that everything that happens, you're absolutely in this space where you are ready and you can deal with it. And yes, there are huge intensities, and yes, there are huge, you know, pains when your heart opens and you realize, oh my God, my heart is broken, and you feel that broken heart, because every human being has that broken heart. It's just the nature of 3D. And then you can deal with it. And for example, let's say 10, 20 years ago, that kind of pain would surely kill you, or you would go mad, you know. But now all of a sudden you have, because it's like this soul infusion is like, for example, let's say, like for my experiences with this is that like air. For example, if you look at air, it has all these different components, all these different particles. So for example, let's say you have, and for example, let's say when Michael comes to the foreground, it's not that Alex, move aside, really. That used to be much more, but it's just that more particles. It's like, let's say if I'm air on the inside, and more particles of Michael, that part that identifies itself as Michael, comes forth, and there's more of Michael at the front. It's still, there's particles of Alex, and those particles know exactly that they're Alex, the human self part, equal in everything. And then when Michael sort of steps back and the human part comes, it's again just that the more of the particles of Alex are at the front. So it's not like this kind of being like, oh, Michael is a totally different being, you know, and Alex is a totally different. No, we're one. It's just this infusion. It's like a percentage. I kind of call it, I percentagize. So I've percentagized as Michael, and then Michael percentage kind of a little bit moves down a little bit, and then I'm more Alex. So this air is the most that I can compare it to how it is. And so when you're allowing the soul self to be more and more present, these particles of soul to be more and more infused in your reality and in yourself, so without the human self even knowing or realizing, you're just constantly becoming stronger and more capable, and with more talents to deal with, and stronger not in the old way, as in strength to overcome and all of that, but just more wise, with more capabilities, more able to perceive, more acute senses, with more wisdom how to deal with things. And so you're changing on all levels. And then so that when all of these things come up for integration, you're able to deal with it. And that may mean, like what Doris describes, that, okay, I'm going to spend a week in bed, but that too is part of life, you know, so that too is part of this reality. It's not, what needs to go is that, okay, so maybe I've done something wrong, or I failed, or none of these things make sense anymore. It's just like, wow, you know, I've got this interesting experience. And then eventually you do realize also why you've created, each one of us, why we've created that, even if for the human self it was a little bit annoying at times, or, you know, didn't enjoy it at times. But when you own everything that you've created, when you own your creatorship, then everything that happens in the life is something that each one of us have created.
I do resonate with everything you say. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you. All right, so now we've come to you, Master Marcia. How do you pronounce your name? Am I saying it right or not right? Come stai?
Yeah, Marzia. Yeah, but
Marzia.
oh, molto bene. Do you speak Italian?
Io capisco italiano, ma non parlo bene.
No, tu parli benissimo l'italiano. It's wonderful.
I have a cousin who is married an Italian and she lives in Bologna.
Oh, really? It's
Yes.
not so far from me.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, I think 40 kilometers
Oh,
from here. Not so far. By
Not
train,
far.
1 hour. Yeah.
not far,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
far.
I'm sorry, but sometimes I have problem with my connection, internet connection, and I don't listen very well your words. So I'm feeling the energies because sometimes I lost some words. So if I disconnect sometimes because I have this issue with the internet. So, it's very difficult for me in these moments to present myself because I am in my human side and I am in my soul side. So, and I arrived from the thermal bath. So my energy is very quiet, very soft, very in the universe. In the cosmic energies, like a little angel chanting la 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 la. But yeah, in reality, in this moment, I really present myself like a dream walk, death transition guide, because from my childhood, I had many experience with death. So I think that it's a most important part for my life because from my childhood, from now, I had many experiences. Sometimes beautiful, sometimes in a dramatic way. But every time I speak about death, the other dimension arrive, and it's so joyful for me. It's very generally people speak about death with us. When I can, I speak about death, not death, transition. I don't like to use the word death because it's only the death of the body, no? Not the identity or the soul. So every time I speak about transition, the other dimension arrive and this beautiful sounds, images, feelings, oh wow, it's and sometimes for me it was so not hard, but as Adamus said, you need to choose if stay or leave. So in some day I really need to choose to stay. And yesterday my natural protection worked very well, and I know now that I really decided to stay because yesterday my soul whispered something and saved my life. So it was very wow. And linked by the experience with the death or the other dimension is I always read the energies in the beginning, when you don't know what is happened in a real way, no? You think that, oh, I feel all these energies and they are mine. So when I was 18, 20, I thought, okay, I am crazy because I feel all these kind of feelings and sadness, because the first thing that you feel from the other people is sadness, the dark energy or low energy. So I needed to understand that what was mine and what wasn't mine, and I began to write energetic poems or short tales, and for some years they began my jobs like a street artist. So yeah, in reality I am this dream walker, transition guide, and reader of energies. But for the normal people of mass consciousness, sometimes it's very hard, because for example, in the area I am living, to work in a very hard way is the most important thing. If you don't work in a hard way, sometimes in a modern slavery, like a slave, people don't understand you. You don't work, or you don't work 10 hours per day or something like that. It's like a shock. So yeah, sometimes I protect myself from this like kind of judgment. So yeah, maybe it's like Anna with the city, the rumors, or I don't want to use the judgment. It's only a different point of view, different point of living. So yeah, it's an experience. Yeah, but reading the energy, sometimes it's hard, because you see something that the other people don't see. And generally I speak, I have the behavior with the people, but with their energies. So sometimes it's very fun, because maybe a person has a attitude with the other people, but you feel his or her energy. Maybe they are totally different. So it's very funny sometimes. Yeah.
Well, with the with all of these different kind of ideas, it is one of those hard, challenging things to organize for all of us. And the people that I speak with, that I see perhaps in private sessions, we share such similar issues, really, because we are we live within a mass consciousness. And for me too, like I always wanted to sort of live out in nature, and I go to nature, but I do have this place in the middle of town. And for me also, like every couple of weeks I work a couple of shifts in a mental health, so speaking with over the phone with people that are calling in they're suicidal or in crisis or all sorts of things. So it's I'm not isolated and from, you know, just living in this bubble. I did for a few years when there was happening that full-on integration. I didn't go anywhere. Sometimes I wouldn't speak for a couple of weeks, but then came that day when the soul self said, okay, time to connect back to the community in whatever way is possible. And to, you know, a couple of days, every 2 weeks, that's enough for me. Or maybe go shopping, but it just, we all of us have to deal with that. And when I go out, especially when it's such beautiful, after some kind of intense, beautiful integrations or some kind of full-on waves of this energy that come and change us, it is quite a shock to even end up on the road, you know, sitting in my own car next to traffic lights next to other drivers, because I feel all of a sudden all that constriction, the broken heart, all of a sudden my solar plexus starts constricting. And like you said, Master Marzia, it has to do with just really being so clear what is mine, what is not mine. And especially like things that I find that used to be my issues, or perhaps I identified with them, it's still so easy for those to straight away plug into that. And all of a sudden I find myself, wow, again in that belief, I have this issue or whatever issue it is, but then I realized, wow, it's actually not my issue, just because I was walking within the mass consciousness with people, and I just connected, someone else may have had that issue and I've connected with it, and all of a sudden I made it mine. So it just is a continually having to cleanse or clean, and constantly, you know, having to let go of those definitions, and constantly be in that safe space of myself where I get to choose what I identify with, who I identify with as, what is my truth, what is not my truth, because it's so easy for that mass consciousness to constantly, you know, impinge on, let's say I'm in this beautiful space and all of a sudden I find myself, you know, all of a sudden feeling very heavy again, and it's just constantly just, okay, that's not mine, that's not mine, that's not mine. And also this thing to really realize that, okay, I am different than other people, I am different than the community I'm in, and just to accept that, because once I accept that, then I can deal with the real issues and not just constantly feeling like a victim of my choices. And my choices on a soul level, not just mine, but each one of us that are doing this, that are allowing this, that are realizing this, has to do with being a master in a world of mass consciousness where people are caught within the mass consciousness. So we have to be different. It's a nature of what we chose. It is to be different. And so it is also to continually reaffirm my own beliefs, my own truths, and what I identify with. This is like on a day by day basis, and it does become easier, and it does become fun, because I realized then that my own truth also changed day by day. So what I identified with yesterday is different. So it becomes like this part of dynamic of a dynamic life, when you have to continually re-identify, renew yourself, rediscover yourself. And it actually becomes quite a lot of fun, because all of a sudden I'm in a new space, and it's like, wow, so what does this space now mean? What does it mean that I'm going to do with my day? Because my day also changes. And like you know, it was mentioned before that yes, every time there's this huge big change, it means that all of a sudden I go on a cleaning spree, or I go and rearrange my garden, or I rearrange my furniture, because what was doesn't fit who I now am again. But it's fun, and it is joyful, and I use my body, and you know, go into the garden and do the gardening thing. But it is like wherever we are, each one of us, it means that we are very different. We are a little bit strange to other people. But I find that, you know, this is just the nature of what we chose. And once I own it, then I don't feel victimized. Then I actually enjoy it, because I enjoy being by myself. I enjoy doing things. And then I enjoy being a little bit naughty and tell people, you know, and just go and do these things that I'm thinking, wow, no one else dares doing these kind of things. And yet I dare, you know, and it's just like, becomes like a fun. It's like, then I really enjoy being someone different, and I enjoy this incredible freedom. And a lot of the things where I am different, most people don't even know, because it is in my own space. But those kind of freedoms that I allow myself because of my difference, they just make my life so thrilling, so enjoyable, so mine, so me, so reflective of who I really am, that I would never ever give up that anymore for any kind of being part of the groups, because that is just not even enjoyable. You know, it's fun to be social a little bit, but there is just so much going on, and then being aware of the non-physical friends and the other parts of self and all these multidimensional, it is just like a full-on interesting life that other people have no idea about. And so that wanting to be part of or accepted, it becomes less and less of an issue. You know, sometimes the human self still feels, oh, I wish I had, you know, was popular or something, you know, but I'm not, you know, I'm not at work and where I go to do this job. I'm not at anywhere, and I never really was. And it's okay to feel that, and it's okay to allow you know, the human self to feel those kind of feelings, because it does want to feel part of it all. But then it feels that, and then it realizes, but oh wow, look at the life that we are really living. And then it's just like, ah, yeah, you know, okay, I did a few tears for 10 minutes, but now we go on another adventure. But I did have to make my life really adventurous in this way, you know, so to incorporate into everyday things that I love. And so my every day has kept on changing, and it keeps changing. And I make sure, you know, all the things that I wanted to do, I just try them. Okay, I wanted to do whatever, and I just go and do it. And then you realize, no, that was old dreams. Maybe it was just okay for one day. It's not really me anymore. But then on the way, I've discovered something else, you know, that, wow, but I actually like this, you know. So your day becomes much more of who you are, and then those other things really become much less important. So that's one thing. And another thing is also all of those being different also feeds into those parts that carry that difference within me. So I have to really learn to accept that and find the voice. Like if there is something that I find that other people are saying, or in their, you know, the way they look at me or in their point of view, that is really triggering me, it means there is a part of me that I haven't yet discovered within me that also carries that voice that says very similar to that. And it keeps coming up. And then I find it within myself, and I honor it, and I bring it home. And then even though initially it was rejecting of me because it was repeating that what the society was saying, oh, you're different, you're whatever, it actually then starts changing because I've accepted it, I've honored it, and I didn't try to change his view. You know, I just said, okay, you are part of me. You have this view, you're okay to have this view, but I don't take this view on. And then when I do that, then other people's views in this way become even less important. They don't trigger me anymore, except for sometimes, but it's very easy to then realize, wow, that's not me anymore. I don't identify with. But this is one of those things that I found in this last week has been coming up, is this being able to identify and disidentify. This is just such a huge for us, for each one of us, to as in this mastery, to learn, because we need to, each one of us, what has been coming up, let's say, for each one of us is really where we're still holding on to the old. And this energy is just cleansing that, and realize, wow, look, this has come up for me. And that's why it's so important to really dance, you know, with what comes up at your door, whether it's what we like or what we don't like, because it's bringing up and it's saying, look, this is your strings. This is where you are still a slave to the old, and you need to let go and see. And then that gentle way becomes, you know, how do I find the new? How do I release this gently? How do I find the new? Where is the new? Where are the new potentials? How do I feel them? How do I then find a way to really believe that I can be someone completely different than who I identify with as a human being a whole life? So I've identified with a certain nationality, perhaps a certain gender, or this has happened to me, my life story. But now is the time to really let that go and identify with who I really am, which is the soul. And I have this heritage of soul, this endless, timeless heritage from the soul, and this is my family. It doesn't mean that we let go of our children or our partners. We actually become much more loving and free with them when we actually honor and accept the heritage that the soul carries, the heritage of who we really are. But it is actually quite a huge step, because it is so easy. Oh, I've never been, you know, like even just something simple like, oh, I've never been able to swim, for example. That's just a banal example. And so you identify as human. Well, I've never been able to swim. I've never liked water. I've always had fear of swimming. So now all of a sudden you go into that I am that I am never has felt any fear like that. So who am I? This being that is afraid to swim? Or am I this being that has got a clean slate and it is now going to experience again in a new way what water is, what swimming means, as if it's never experienced it before? And so that just step from that, where we identify with who we are, with all those flaws and what we couldn't do, what we shouldn't do, to be a completely clean slate, is that huge step that is being asked of so many of us now, because that's when you really step into this new earth, this new world, and then still have, you know, like this window into the old, because you still have this facet of the old that you can then be and interact with people who are still fully in the old. And it's just such an interesting experience, again, because it hasn't been done before. We are doing it, and each one of us, as we're practicing, as we're interacting with our world, as we are allowing our inner world to become so subtle, so immediate, so real, and how we are this master on the inside who deals with things, who tries, and like a scientist, you know, tinkers with all these different energies and plays and then sees the result of how you know, how then the reality changes, or it doesn't, you know. So I've kind of been really letting go of any of those kind of things that as a human I used to have, and just keep stepping into this mastery. I am a master. How I feel myself as a master. How am I then interacting with this? And then all these other things really become smaller, much smaller. And then also I find that other people are just so beautifully kind, so beautifully happy with interacting with me, you know, because you carry then this kind of different energy, and it's just like their eyes just lit up. Like, for example, I can go to a shop and sometimes, you know, those people working at the counter may be very dead, like you can see the deadness in their eyes, and all of a sudden, wow, they're just alive, you know, because you've come with a different kind of energy and brought different kind of potential. So we really are this enlightening experience for others in this way. And once I realized that, it changed a lot of how I see people. So I don't see them as, okay, I need to be accepted, but rather, well, let's see if I can see that spark of life in their eyes, you know. And also there's another thing that came up for me, is how it changed, like how being me has changed hugely. I used to hide, and then I said, okay, no more. And then I'm able to be in you know, do things that perhaps as me, and people knowing what I do. And for example, let's say in that every 2 weeks when I go, I interact with psychologists and doctors, and, you know, like if they perhaps see channeling and all of these things as madness or whatever, you know, like even just saying a word soul is like, wow, that's something wrong. And yet I'm able to be within there, to be respected and to be me, because I'm just go there, do the job, and I do it well, the best of my abilities, and bring all these energy with me so that I don't actually have to hide anymore. But how can I say, all of those stages of being open within that environment were at times scary, because, you know, like, okay, the book, someone buys the book and reads it, then I know who I am, or whatever, they look at the website, all of a sudden they know who I am. And so it was always like, oh shit, will I then, you know, be rejected? And yet I'm finding that the world has actually changed incredibly, and we don't actually have to hide anymore. I find that people are so much more accepting, as long as I don't go with I don't try to convince anyone. I'm just there doing normal thing. Oh yeah, let's have coffee, beautiful, you know, doing every day. I don't talk about any of the different stuffs, and just be there in a normal everyday. And all of those fears that I had that I will be different or not accepted are actually gone, because I am, you know, to my biggest surprise, in all these spaces that I thought that perhaps I would be the least accepted, I actually am. And that has been my biggest, surprise in the last few years. And I am glad that, you know, I went this way of open way, rather than not advertising, but just that if people find out, it's okay, this is who I am. And not threatening, and not in a non-threatening way, and not you know, telling people they should be spiritual, blah, 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 nothing of a kind. And the world has changed, and people are looking for new things, and people are very open. So I would invite and encourage everyone to sort of, you know, step up and look at it perhaps from a different kind of perspective. Sorry, maybe I've gone too long. Sorry about that. Over to you.
Yeah, I had different experiences as well. My family, a few years ago, they laughed about me, and well, or my daughters, oh, mom is crazy and what she's doing. I mean, my my ex-husband is a scientist, as how do you call it? Economist, yeah, scientist. And my oldest daughter is a medicine, is a doctor. So they are really on the other side. But now when I talk with my daughter, just also about Corona, she said, well, Mom, you don't know, in the hospital, I have to sign all these death papers and so on. There's so many death papers. So I talked with her and said, look here, there's another space. It's not, you can't prevent with injection and things like this. It's coming from the inside. It's something very, very different. And she really was a kind of listening. I mean, I don't know if she has changed or not, it doesn't matter, but I was talking also about the other possibilities. How do I get along with my body? What do I do? So this gave, I felt too, this gave other people the possibility to see it from a different perspective, to listen to their self, to listen to their soul, and so on. And what you mentioned, I experienced as well. That, for instance, we have waterfalls here in the Black Forest, and there are lots of now, as things are open again, there are many tourists. And I realized that even people I just passed by, they were smiling, hello, and in different languages also. We have many Italians here now. The Italians are coming to the north. If they speak Italian or Spanish or French, they started to smiling or talking to me. And this was, this is so beautiful. But last week I had one day, the day before, yeah, it was just, everything was so joyful. I felt it's my presence, it's my light who is touching the others. But on one day, there was a family in the evening, in my evening walk, with a big dog, really dog with its protection in front of it in the metal. And this dog was coming towards me. And I never had this experience. Normally when dogs are coming towards me, they want to get in touch with me. But this one was someone really, whoa, it was heavy. And then in the evening, I'm living here in an apartment house with 15 or 14 other neighbors. It was so loud. People were crying aloud. It was so loud that I felt I wanted to read something. I wanted to stay with me, with myself, talking with my soul, and it wasn't possible. So I got up and I was crying too. It just came out like this, like a, I don't know what. And then I dived into myself and said, why was I crying? And then my soul showed me that when my oldest daughter was very small, or as a small child, she used to cry a lot. And I wasn't always able to follow this. So I cried at her too. And this experience just came back and said, okay, accept it. Get in peace with it. Get in peace with, I mean, I am in peace now with my daughters. We had sometimes it was just different, and this was important. But once again, I really had to get in peace with it, that I also was a mother who did cry on her daughter. Not so much of the younger one, but the older one. Later on, I realized it was the SE virus. She still is carrying it. As a small child, it was, and for me, it was new for me. I didn't know something else like this from my family. People were quiet in my family. And so, if I'm honest, I wasn't able to handle it. And therefore I was crying because of an uncertainty, or just to get released. And this aspect, last week, there were many others. They all came in front of me, showing up and saying, okay, they all wanted to be loved. They all want to be integrated. Stay in peace with yourself. And I did it the entire week, and now today is fine. But it's sometimes harsh, yeah.
And you know, crying is you, because you say, oh, I wasn't able to handle it. You have handled it. You're still here. You see, crying is part of handling it. So all of these, the way we deal with things are just a normal way. And perhaps, you know, like in the old ways, in other days, it was like, oh, if you cry, you failed again, but
Yeah.
this is not true. You've absolutely handled it, and you've handled the virus, and you've handled all of these things, because we're not separated from anything. We are, but how we handle it, you see, because, for example, let's say how you handle it, how you deal with it, and how we transform it also. I had a virus, not coronavirus, but I had about 4 years ago, I got a virus, tropical virus. And also I was thinking, oh my gosh, what have I done wrong? But it actually showed me the part that I wasn't integrated, and for me it was masculine, and it helped me to dive right into it. And then it just disappeared. Like, from my experience, it disappeared, because I realized, wow, I told the virus, dear virus, you are part of the body that is enlightening, that is ascending, so you now have to ascend as well. And that's it, it's part of your part of your body. It has to also transform and change, and then it does. That's it. It's not like you have to like push it away. No, okay, I'm on this earth. Sorry, you go.
No, yeah, I told too, okay, I accept you, and just go on with operate with the light. I carry light within. I shine my light on you. I accept you. It's fine. It's an experience for me, and just operate with the light. And then it became really, it went back and back and back, and yeah, now it's fine.
Yeah, it is just part of experience, and also it is part of your energy as well. So your energy has constructed this thing, so it can't be harmful. And this is the amazing thing that you keep finding, wow, this virus, all of these things that I used to think were bigger than me, and they were as a human being, but as this soul self, all of these things are then, this is the change of perspective, all of these things are much smaller, because I am the creator of everything in my reality. I am the creator. So any virus, so this is what, notice, I don't know if you've noticed, but that you've sort of taken note of, but how many things that you used to think, wow, this is huge, this is bigger, this is scary, all of a sudden you realize, wow, okay, so I've had this experience, maybe it wasn't very pleasant, but gee, even of this I am a master of. A virus is not a master of me. I am a master of it. So it's kind of like we are changing all of the experiences of human, all of the things, and becoming master in a relationship to that. That's what I find in my life, that all of the things keep coming up until I realize, wow, even this is not, the survival fear, the money issues, the body issues, the health issues, the whatever, the weather, all of these things that all humans are dealing with. So I find a way to experience them myself as a master in a relationship to that, so that I am no longer a victim, so that it's no longer this big thing over me, but I all of a sudden, I perceive myself then all of a sudden as a creator of this also. And that is, if empowerment was still a popular word, I would say it's incredibly empowering, but power over, power has so many different meanings, but it feels very masterly. That's the word to use, isn't it? It feels very masterly. It's like, wow, this is quite incredible. Okay.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. And Master Marcia, as you were talking about death experiences, I once had most beautiful death experience 4 years ago. I didn't want to stay because I had some stuff here in my throat, and if I can't swallow, I better leave. I don't do any chemicals or things like that. things like this. The next day I was able to swallow again. And then a few hours later, I had to lie down on the sofa, and everything in my body was leaving. I felt like how it is when people are going to transcend. Everything, there was nothing left until I was staying there with myself, maybe in the light. I can't remember it exactly. And then it took some hours more, life came back into my body again, slowly, slowly, slowly. But this was so beautiful. I only felt peace, I felt satisfaction, I felt love, I felt beauty, I experienced it. And so from this day on, I don't fear death anymore, not at all, because I really experienced the beauty of this transitioning, and also speaking with or feeling the body, what's going on, what's happening, but in a soft, in a tender way. Yeah, I repeat myself, it was just beauty, and I'm so thankful for this experience.
I wonder if, Master Marzia, when you were talking about the death, I wonder if all of us have to some degree experienced it, all of us on this journey. What about you, Anna? Do you think you've had some kind of similar experience of death?
As I was listening, I was just thinking about it, not with the others around me, because how I've designed my life, no one's really dying around me, but I myself, as a child, I was quite a few times on a death bed, and I'm thinking, I'm really surprised that I'm still here, because on the top of that, I've been doing everything not to be here for years. So I mean, I was drinking a lot, I was taking some stuff, and I just don't know how it happened. I'm still here. I mean, those days are not here anymore, but I was on the boundary quite a few times. And as a child, and for majority of my life, I was very ill, like really ill, like spending weeks in the hospitals because I've poisoned myself. Some canned fish, for example, as a teenage. So I've been trying to escape. I've been doing everything I could have, and at some point I just stopped this. I said, and my body is healthy. I'm not ill anymore. It's just I'm getting better. Older I get, I'm better. I'm healthier, happier, prettier, whatever else. So that's my experience in as to death. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, I find that too. The older I get, the more energy I have, the better I feel. My body feels good. It's really great. Like looking forward to, and being able to have all of this wisdom. And also with the death, as Master Marzia, you were talking, I was remembering that time when I was bitten by a snake. Of course, I do it all. I did a lot of things as a drama queen because I used to be a very big drama queen. So, of course, if I'm going to do the death day thing, it's going to be something like a snake, kind of thing. It can't be just some ordinary... I'm laughing at it now. I didn't know at that time.
Yeah.
But I was bitten by a snake in the evening in quite a remote area, and this lady, had to take me over the ferry, and it took 2 hours to a hospital. So when they called the doctor on the phone, when I came to the counter, I was in a sort of like a remote resort, staying a couple of nights, and I come to the counter and I said, I packed up because I knew I would have to leave. So I stepped on a snake, I got bitten by a snake, went back to my villa, packed everything as orderly and as a proper European lady I was, that have to clean, you know, before I go with my bag, you know, with my bag to the counter, and there was these two people, was very remote, it was late, you know, and I said, oh, I think I have a problem. I think I was bitten by a snake. And they're like, oh, go into this panic mode. Then they called the doctor and they said, and the doctor goes, well, if she's still alive in 20 minutes, so then you have a couple of hours. It was that kind of an experience. And then this lady from the counter, you know, the employee of this hot hotel resort thing, whatever it was, she tried to put, like, you know, wrap my leg, and she did such a bad job. I had to hold all these wrappings and walk around like some kind of mummy. It was actually quite hilarious. And then she took me down, and it was all very remote, you know, through the rainforest, unsealed road, and we had to be at the ferry by the time the ferry finished. So it was a couple of hours drive to the hospital, and in that I've experienced that, even though it wasn't a death, but it's like when you were moved into another world. You're no longer part of the living, because, you know, you feel like my heart was pumping, and I thought, well, I maybe tomorrow I won't be here. And I am in a very different reality to this person who's driving the car. And she was talking and talking, and she was quite nervous, but I was in this incredibly peaceful way. I thought, well, maybe in 1 hour I won't be there anymore. And then I felt so alive. It was it's like this whole veils of my eyes were lifted, and I watched the stars, and there were all these little animals scurrying off the road, you know, in the light. And I could feel the forest, like the beat of the forest, and my heart pumping. But I was very, very separated from the world of the living, because you realize that when you are in that process of death, you are by yourself. There is no other human being in the whole world that can do anything, you know, for you. And then luckily the snake apparently must have just fed or was hunting, so there was no poison in it, so I survived. but it was you know, that's, I think that each one of us, I'm lately noticing that maybe each one of us have had this kind of near-death experience in whatever way that we don't even realize, because that gave us that kind of firstly loss of fear, but also this feeling of being so incredibly alive, so that we've become friends with this, like Master Matthias said, I don't even call it death anymore. It's just this transition when you befriend it, because this transition is really the hugest fear that people, you know, have, isn't it? Like that normal people have. And once you realize that really there's nothing to fear, it's actually quite beautiful and incredibly enlivening, then you become quite different to other people, isn't it? Like your priorities change. And then that was another step to come to this place where I could then open up to other parts of myself, that I could open up to the soul. It was all this preparation, all of these things that have happened in our lives that at that time didn't make sense or anything, but you realize how wise the journey is, and how every step of the way you are so supported by the soul, and you are not only guided, but everything is created from that soul self, so that you can have that experience of what it is like to awaken, what it is like to enlighten, what it is, you know, because and human self would like to do it all in one day, but from the wisdom of the soul, it's slowly, because then we can firstly savor all those things on the way. And like if I would say something to anyone, let's say waking up now, is like, just enjoy every part of it, and enjoy most of all yourself, and love yourself as much as you can, and appreciate yourself, and everything else will just fall into place by itself, because you cannot get away from your soul. You are embedded inside of your soul self, and you are safe. within that safety, then you can experience what to other people look like, crazy things like near death, you know, things like that. And yet you still feel, I feel completely safe. You know, so which to a person still within a mass consciousness, it would just look crazy, like, oh, you experience these things, aren't you depressed now, aren't you, you know, haven't you lost the will to live? And no, I'm actually even feel more alive. And at the same time also, like you know, as it's mentioned here, me too, I have to continually review when I want to stay. I think this is also a part of this being who we are. And I don't know that it will ever go away until, you know, it's just like, okay, so I have to review. Do I still want to be here? Do I still want to be here? Do I still want to be here? Because there are some really challenging days. And just seeing, you know, and feeling the broken hearts of other people or stuff like that. That's not easy to feel or see the suffering of others. And also just to realize, well, I've completed what I came here to do. So do I still want to stay? So it's just one of those things. I take it as a part of this that continually I have to revise. And yes, I stay, and it feels really good to be a master also in this, because then you get to choose when I'm going to leave. And that's such a huge thing, let's say, for a normal person, that think, wow, death is something that happens to you, and then you realize, no, actually I choose. And so as I choose to live every day, then I also realize that, okay, so the time here as this life is limited, so I should then, it gives me that inspiration to really live my life, my day as I choose, or doing things that I enjoy, and also parts of life that I have to do because I have a body, because I have, you know, you have to do cleaning, you have to whatever, do the car thing, and whatever, all of these things, but I enjoy while I participate in those things. So that it's like, I don't know whether you know, but there is some Buddhists, they meditate on death every day, every morning they meditate on death. And some people would say, well, that is actually something, why are they so morbid? But it's not true, because in the face of death is when people normally can feel extremely alive and appreciative of every single day that they have. And then you can really live it fully, because everything that we experience is really transitory, you know, where it like this day as it is today will transform, even though it's always the now moment, it keeps transforming. And so becoming, constantly reminding ourselves that, okay, I have to really enjoy everything within my day. It's incredible when you can constantly remind yourself in this way. And yes, you have to keep choosing, you know, that yes, I want to stay or I want to transition. It's not a taboo to think these things. Actually, it's necessary to think these things.
I think that this kind of conversation is most important for the others, no? Because sometimes you can see the other master as you, as Tanya, as people of Crimson Circle, no? And you see yourself and say, okay, I need to say every day that I choose to stay, no? And sometimes in some day it's difficult to choose to stay. But when you feel and listen to the other people in the same situation, you not feel alone anymore, no? As a human, you say, okay, I can choose to stay because I can choose to stay. It's my right as a master to choose to stay, even if sometimes it's difficult. But if I see other people that can choose with a smile or in a difficult way, you don't feel alone anymore. So it's yes, I can choose to stay, even if the day maybe is not a beautiful day, or the energy is heavy. Even if the energy is not mine, but it's heavy, you need to breathe a lot and release something like that. In the end, I say, yes, I choose to stay. But sometimes it's necessary not to listen to the other people that have the same choice.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the reason about this space or the other energetic space between us, to not feel alone sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why I feel that I felt that was my feeling, is that we're going into our next level of challenges for humanity and energetic. It's going to get rough. We think
Yeah.
rough, but it
Yeah.
keeps getting rougher and rougher. And so it's really important that we do get together for each one of us, because then we can truly share the real experiences of this. And it is, you know, like it is funny, like how, okay, so then you go public, and going public, you know, I mean, my journey of going public was also full of challenges. Firstly, because I didn't want to be public, and also because I felt, you know, ashamed. I thought, well, I have to be skinny and I have to be 20 years old or whatever, all of those kind of, you know, it's all of this kind of the certain look and whatever, that when you think, well, I have to, you know, if I'm doing these webinars, but the soul self, it's been such a blessing to go public and to speak. And even at times, you know, when I would do this huge integration, and like if you look at blueprints, and sometimes I kind of look at myself and I'm thinking, wow, those aspects that were coming, and I look so different, and I look like a truck has hit me, and it has, you know, overnight. and yet for Michael part, he was saying, no, but you have to look, you can't just look like some model, because that's not what the thing looks like, you know. And so it doesn't look like that. You do look like I certainly look like a scarecrow very often in the morning, and I've had, and all of these kind of things, you know, it's not easy. And then also you can see how you do change as you keep doing the work, like, you know, your energy then becomes lighter, and then you're like, these other people then can witness that our work actually is real. What we're doing, the transformations that we're doing are real. And that is the biggest blessing and the biggest feeling. So rather than becoming a certain type that would be okay to be an actress or whatever, you know, because that's what society says, you realize that, wow, I'm okay now. I'm shining because I am accepting the way I am, the age I am, the way, you know, all of the things that, for example, let's say in other circles, it would say, no, but you can't be public. And yet in reality, it's just because I've looked so normal, you know, an everyday person, that is important to then step up, step out and say, look, every person, everywhere, in every life situation, this is available to them. If you do the work, you can transform things, whatever nationality, whatever gender, whatever age, whatever look, whatever body, whatever, you know, it doesn't, none of these are things that are completely unimportant in the scheme of things. But when you accept and you realize, oh wow, this is like just such a huge perfection. And so stepping out, it works in huge way, and it is also important to have a little bit of privacy. So I'm actually very open to those people that are participating with, and that will continue, let's say, to participate in these kind of meetings, whether we do it private or whether we do it public. I'm very open to whatever you people say. So at the moment, like, this one is public, but the next one will be private, and let's see how that happens. But I feel that it's really important for all of us, especially people that we don't have a lot of other shambra around or whatever, you know, and that perhaps, you know, whether there's COVID restrictions or all sorts of things happen, or, you know, there's no petrol or the train, or there's problems with planes or whatever, but we can't perhaps travel and meet, but we can keep meeting and supporting and seeing the real, you know, the real us, that the real, maybe one day we'll have to do even like a swearing session. Like I've become a really amazing professional swearer. I can swear like a trooper, you know, so I swear a lot throughout my day. I swear a lot, all sorts of words. You name it, I can say it. I have no problem.
Good. Thank you. Thank you for saying it.
Absolutely. I swear, I say the C word, I say the every word, and I've said it to people as well. You know, it's not, I haven't always been nice. It's not like you can't always be nice to people. And how can I say, because they come and try to plug in, you know, and you have to really not protect, but this master self voice can say the C word in a big way to other people, and sometimes people have to hear it, you know, because if we are to be here, other people need to learn new ways. And this is what I thought, that for me, Corona has actually been in many ways a blessing in this way, because it created a space for us to be able to say, you know, give me space, you know, because sometimes some people are very like touchy and feely, and they just push themselves into your space because they want to do that feeding. And now it's okay to say no, but you know, social distancing, it's actually, there's so many things that Corona has created that is now, you know, and it's now okay to take that time for yourself. You don't even have to explain why you're taking time for yourself, or you just spend more time on your own, and people can think whatever they think. There's no need to explain anymore, because of the gifts of Corona, and it's socially acceptable. All of these, so many things that as a master we need is now socially acceptable. And when you really think about it, you know, and so you know, we can utilize those things. And yes, we swear, we can, you know, brush up on your swear words, because sometimes you just need it. And that other person, it's kind of like they're under hypnosis, and they're just not, you know, they're not aware what they're doing. And when you say some strong word, it's like they wake up and they're then embarrassed at what they were doing. But you couldn't have done it any other way, really. And that's just a quick, you know, they like wake up and it's like, oh, sorry. You know, and but people have to realize, it's like certain things are just not okay to do, and it's not okay anymore to feed, and it's not okay, and you know, so, and yeah, you go.
The normal people don't feel the feeding of energy at the distance. They try to stay always close to you, maybe because we shine our light. So they, in a conscious way, they feel it. So they try to stay close to you, like a solar battery. And it's very hard. And I remember that in the September of 2019, I was in a park with my cover, with my blanket, and the park was almost empty. And when the people arrived, I was shining my light, so people arrived close to me. Very close to me, and I thought, oh, I need a law for the people, because people with the law maybe stay away. And when during the coronavirus they created the social distance, I was so happy.
Me too. I'm so happy about all these things. It's like, yeah, social distancing, yay.
But now this kind of social distance, there is the law, but nobody respected. So now on the beach or in the supermarket, people are close again and stay away. Yeah, people don't understand that it's beautiful to have a own space. Not much when you are outside, no? But and yes, 1 meter around. It's yeah, they need to feed, or they need always to have someone close to. It's very, I can understand sometimes, but not always, no? So it's like, yeah, there are, yeah, they are sleeping in an unconscious way because they don't feel, they feed energy sometimes, they are very close to the other. And when you ask the distance, not only for the coronavirus, because for example, I'm integrating many things, so I'm feeling very open to the world. So every energy is like a nuclear bomb for me in this moment, no? And this social distance is important for me, for my energetic work in this moment. But people don't understand, even if you explain this.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
Because it's below, it's below their conscious level. It's in that iceberg, you know, it's underneath, but it's actually, it's not even that they don't understand, it is actually their intention, unconscious intention to feed. So they will do many things to provoke you so that they can plug into your solar plexus and feed. You see, this is their unconscious. This is the part of that virus that is very not pretty when you actually see it, because what I used to think is that, oh, people just don't know, so if I explain to them, then they will actually understand. But it's actually, in the reality is, unconsciously they know very well that they need to feed, and they're looking for someone to feed, and they feel that you're not open for them to feed, and then they will trigger you, and they know precisely unconsciously what to do to trigger you, and so to plug into you to feed. You see, this is that unpretty part, unsavory part of this world, when you realize that this energy vampirism, it's actually real. It's not like that they're doing it because they don't know better. The only antidote to this is the presence of the soul, because you see, they can't do it any different way, because they're not getting this energy that you need from anywhere else, because they are closed to a trickle to their soul. And so the only way that you can really resolve this is to you know, when they start opening themselves up to those particles of soul, so that the soul self can start to be present and infuse, and then all of a sudden they then get that awareness, wow, I was feeding on others, now I can deal with this virus, and I can redirect myself horizontally rather than vertically. You see, most of the people walk around vertically, so they're just looking to plug in, looking to plug in, and if there's nothing to plug in, they would then try to trigger people so that they can plug in, because they're just starving. They're starving, you know. Yeah. So and it's not pretty when you actually see it. It's not really pretty at all. It's actually quite shocking. And so then once I really accepted that this is how it is, that people were on purpose, so then it was easier then to deal with it. But also then I was okay then to become that very decisive. You know, if I have to say the fuck word, I'll say a fuck word, or if I say fuck off, I'll say a fuck off. You know, if I can see that that's the only thing that will throw that person out of that unconscious behavior, and maybe they'll go somewhere else and feed. But we have to be uncompromising in this, because you cannot be open and not uncompromising. Being open means you are uncompromising. And so yes, it is a challenge when now again people here too, there are, you know, people are forgetting. It's still kind of okay if you say social distancing, you know, if you say that to them, they're like, oh, sorry. It is still acceptable, but maybe next year it won't be. So I don't know. I found ways to perhaps go to shops. I go after 8 o'clock. So I've changed my habits to not have to be around big groups of people. Sometimes that's possible, sometimes not. And sometimes I just go quickly and I know, okay, I'll go to the market. I'll just go quickly, boom, 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 come back and sometimes you just have to, but you just find different ways of dealing with this. And it's not so much even that it's uncomfortable because you feel that suffering and you feel that emptiness, and I feel all of those things, and it's not pleasant to feel those things, so I found it very helpful to really change the habits so that I don't have to, because we don't actually have to be in big groups of people. I feel we don't have to. Just being present in your home, just being present on this earth is changing, everything. So we don't have to make ourselves to go with people. So, if you find that it's hard for you to go when it's busy, just try to find ways, or maybe even have things delivered, or, even those things are now. That's worked for us. I thought, wow, the corona's changed so many things, because now you can even get all your vegetables delivered, your food. You don't even have to go to the shop, and we don't have to, unless we enjoy it, to go to the shops and stuff.
Yeah.
That's what's been my experience.
Yeah. But generally in my life, I didn't like the mass consciousness of big groups. If I went to a concert, I always find a dark corner very far from the stage, but because I'm dancer, so I really enjoy the concert dancing, the music, but far from the mass. And generally people do the thing during the weekend, but you can do during the week without these big groups of people. And for during the coronavirus, people became crazy, no? Because they could not stay in big groups or something like that. But for me, it was very normal.
I think for all of us, it was very normal.
Yeah,
we enjoyed it.
Yeah. It was very funny because if you listen to or heard the Shambra, coronavirus was a very beautiful limbo time.
Absolutely. I enjoyed the time of the lockdown because I had the wood for myself. There were no tourists.
Yeah.
I had my safe spaces and was able to walk around. I mean, contrary to you, I have just the wood in behind of me. Half a minute and I'm in the wood. But no, there are so many tourists. I can't sit on my bench, do some benching. There are always people around me. And I was thinking like, oh, during the lockdown, it was so beautiful, no noise. Then I had the wood for me. I could walk. It was nearly no people. And I enjoyed it. I mean, really, for me, all this time during the coronavirus now, it served me, like you mentioned too. It served me a lot. I just, no.
Yeah, me too. I had the best time. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes. What about you, Anna? Did you have hard times through?
Yes.
Because you had
Absolutely
family? Because
the
you
same,
have
but
children? Oh, because of children?
But yes, but well, the best time ever. I mean, every single day nowadays is the best time ever in spite of people around me. But I was thinking as well, as Marcia was speaking, the funny situation with people coming close. Like I've got the field around me, not far away from me, and it's very unpopular with some reason. Yes, and for example, I would be taking my dogs over there. I would sit down and just watch the sky and etc. And someone would sit down like literally like 5 meters next to me, and the whole field is empty. And I'm just thinking, oh my God, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna just get up and kill you. So situations like that, I'm just moving myself away. But yes, people around us and COVID, it was a beautiful time. But please remember, for me, it was my awakening, the COVID. I'm the first wave, yeah. So it was intense. So this is where I dropped my job and everything, and my whole life changed. And here I am, still unemployed, happy as ever. So a lot of things, yes. Yes, that's me riding the wave.
Great.
There is a big delay, yes, when I speak.
And now we can't hear you.
I'm just, yes, because when I speak, there is a big delay when I speak, and I'm kind of watching for you can't. It's probably the connection I have, because I'm struggling at times to hear you guys. So sorry about this.
That's okay, no problem, no problem. So are you, does anybody still want to say something, or I feel that we've completed today. We've come to the end. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're quite happy?
I just want to say thank you so much for this call. I'm surprised and I love it. Yes.
And please join, again next time. You're very welcome, and I would like to invite each one of you to join. And as I said initially, I was sort of looking at how to organize it. So now it's a buy me a coffee if you feel. So I know that these times are now, they are so intense, and people have jobs and people have money and sometimes don't. So it's very much like gonna be but we do need to get together. So it's going to be very much like who can contribute whenever you can do. If you don't feel that you can't, don't. So it's kind of like a buy me a coffee thing. It's a $5, $10 buy me a sandwich, just to cover, you know, the technology and for organization. But because we are all sharing our wisdom, you know, so I'm just organizing it and providing the technology. But we are all equally sharing wisdom. So but I do feel that you know, we do need to keep coming together like this, because through the times, you know, through these intense times, and we can share and you know, we can laugh and we can joke and just get to know each other. So and I also invite anyone else who's watching to just come in. There is no obligation. You don't have to, you know, if you start coming to these jewels, if you can't come, don't. So it's very free come or participate if you feel like, or don't. And so I just felt like that this is what we need going forward as masters, that we need a place, a platform, and also like, yes, if you feel like I'm okay whether it's private, I'm okay whether it's public or mixture. We can also do mixture. So if people say, okay, let's go public next month, we can go public. I'm totally okay with how we're running it. So kind of more like a you know, equal expression of equality that we always are at the round table kind of thing. So we're easygoing anyway. So I've enjoyed
Beautiful.
it today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
And I've
Thank you.
enjoyed it,
so
and
much.
thank you each one, and until next time.
Yeah.
And I
Thank you.
will put
Bye bye everyone.
I will put recording on YouTube. So if you want to watch, it will be public on YouTube. And then if they are private next time, then they won't be public. So it'll just be for those participating. But I think I may still record and maybe just do like because you can do a private one on YouTube as well, because I know that sometimes people, like you said, Anna, sometimes you couldn't hear, maybe you want to return to it. So I think that's what I will do. So I will always upload it, but if it's a private, it will just be for those participating, so that it always stays private.
Thank you so much.
All right,
Yeah.
thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Thank you.
And
Thank
until
you.
next time.
Thank you, ladies.
Until next time.
Bye,
Yeah.
bye, bye.
Bye. Bye.